Hello and a very good day everyone. So today we will learn on how we can actually compare the manpower for actual and also planning. So basically in this particular data we have a list of employees, that means the manpower hours from January up to December, and you want to do a comparison between the actual and also the forecast, the planning, and you want to see which employee under or over or normal, because if you just say the actual exceeded the planning, that means they work overwork. Then and if they say the actual is lesser than planning, that means they underwork. So I want to make a side-by-side comparison. So how am I going to do it? So let's get started. So first thing is I need to use Power Query to actually import the data. So data, get data from file, and then Excel workbook. And then you need to know where you save the file. So apparently what happened is I actually saved the file in the downloads. So I need to go to the downloads. The name of the file is 6 March 2026 and I press import. So once I press import, the next step is you'll notice a box will appear. So what you need to do is you need to select the particular worksheet. So my worksheet name is actual and planning. Select multiple items. I just tick these two, actual and planning, and then I straight away go to transform. Why? Because I need to clean the data. So I go to transform, and then it will actually automatically go to Power Query Editor, and it is in Power Query Editor where I'll do the data cleaning. So I'm going to right click this, and then I'm going to just press remove, and then you just see, so we do have until the last column, which is December, and the first two rows is not necessary, so remove. And I can actually choose remove blank row, but I'll just remove top row because it's located at top. You can choose remove blank row because but you must make sure that all the row must be null or empty. So I'm going to press 2 and enter, and then use first row as header, and then after that I'm going to select all these, right click and unpivot other column. So in this case now it will be unpivoted. Here we'll have name, the ID number, the department. Here is basically the date. So I'm going to click this and I'll change to date format, and then over here I'll just write the monthly data. Okay, monthly data or date, monthly date, yeah. Okay, so then after that what we do have next is basically this is actually our actual. So I'm going to write here actual. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing for planning. So I'll just remove this, right click and then remove, and then we can just check the last column. So last column is December, and then I'm going to remove the first two rows, use first row as header, and then after that select this first three column, right click and unpivot other column, and then after that here the name, the ID, the department. So here I'll just change to a date format, and then I'll just put here the date data, date or monthly data. So this will be the planning. Okay, so here we have actual, here we have planning. What my manager wants to do is he wants to do a side-by-side comparison. So I'll just click here, merge query as new. Okay, and then a box will appear. So this one is planning, and then the next one is actual. So I can actually need to select the common column because I can't press OK. So I need to press the common column. So ID and also the ID over here. But you have to bear in mind, not only we have ID, we also have the date. So ID and date, ID and monthly date. So you notice, okay, of course some of the rows are not there. It's okay. So I'm going to just press OK, and then what happened is another box will appear. So I'm going to expand this, another query will appear. So I'm going to press this expand, unselect the name or unselect all, just select actual, unselect this, and then press OK. So what happened is it will do a side-by-side comparison. For example, like actual here, Siti Zulaika, we have 155, 50, 43, 47, 47. So over here we do have this reporting. So the manager can see side by side. And of course here the name is not so nice. I don't want the actual one. So I'll just remove. Okay. So here we do have this data like name, ID, department, monthly data, planning and actual. So I don't want this name. I can just remove. Okay, so here we have planning, here we have actual. What my manager wants to do is my manager wants to make a comparison. So I'll just go to this, select this column, planning, and then actual, and then I go to add column. So under the add column, I'll go to standard and then press subtract. So here we can see whether they overwork or underwork and so on. So if they say positive means it indicates they underwork. If 0 means normal. If they say negative means they overwork. So I'll just go to conditional column and then the subtraction. So if they say the subtraction is actually equals, equivalent to 0. That means I'll say it is normal. And then if you just say this subtraction, this column subtraction is greater than 0. Greater than 0, then that means what happened is it is underwork, because by right it's 155 but they work only 150. So basically it's underwork or it's good and so on. So I'm going to press here underwork. But if just say the data doesn't shows greater than 0 or equal to 0, that means they are overwork. And then I'm going to press OK. So what happened is here we do have a status. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to change name. So this name here I'm going to put here the difference. Here will be the status. Okay, you will notice right now the red color indicates there is an error, and in fact got 11% error. Why? Because if we look here, we cannot compare 170, here there is null and then there's error. So what happened is, if you see this particular data, we are not able to make comparison because, for example, like this employee Matthew Flamini, we do have planning data, but apparently for actual there's no data. So instead of popping out error, what we can do is select this data over here, and then we go to transform and click on replace errors. So replace error, what we can do is we can just see, okay, that means either the data, if we look over here carefully, since it's not, then we can do what? We can just say that means not available. Either the employee, there's no forecast data or there's no actual data and so on. So I'm going to press OK, and then there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'll just go to the home, and then I can actually press close and load, but what I want to do is I'm going to press close and load too, so that it will actually give us an option whether we want to load as a pivot table or table and so on. So in this case, I want to load as a pivot table, and I press OK. So since we do have like the status, so what happened is I actually want to know, okay, like what is the data? Is it they want to actually, okay, for example over here, so let me just close the actual and close the planning. So now if you notice carefully, here we do have this merge. So I'm going to take the status over here. So we have normal, available, over and under. So from here what I want to do is I just want to count, okay, how many of the data and so on. So I'll just put what? I'll put the monthly data over here and it will count. So we notice that we have about 199 hours, which is normal, not available, which is about 36 not available and so on. And then the next thing is I'll just put the merge, okay, so maybe here I'll put at the columns, here I'll put at the names, so we can see, okay, which employee is over, under and so on. And then what we can do is we can just right click over here, and then we can just sort largest to smallest. So from here we can see, okay, rupa-rupanya Muhammad Afiq, he has worked normal. That means the based on what budgeted and but what based on what he worked actual, it is the 12 hours, the 12 things is basically for the past 12 months he worked normal. But there are some employees, they are not available, like for example Flamini, Petit, Saif Ali Khan. But there are certain employees whereby they work under hours, like for example Siti Zulaika. So just say I just click over here, so we get to know, okay, for Siti Zulaika, what's the story? So this is her name, her ID, her department, this is the date, and what we can actually understand is apparently in this particular date there are certain dates whereby she actually have this planning 155, but most of it is under. Under means from February until December, all the date is under, indicating this employee is under work based on the hours. So then only we need to investigate like what happened to this employee. Is this employee working effectively, or is this employee has some issues and so on. So over here, based on this given data, what we can actually interpret is there are employees who work as per the forecast, and there are employees who are not available, there are employees that overwork, and there are employees who are underworked. So this is the data where we can actually study and so on.